Everyone knows we're live in New York and now in Dallas for about 3 weeks now. I thought the best way to go through this was to do a time, look at a time positioning here. So we launched, move a little stack here. We started in New York essentially with the launch, with an announcement at the end of 2013 that would be live. DE-CIX was coming to New York, and we went live. We had our event March 27th, I think it was, and then we actually, our first package went in May. In fact, May we were still not all our switches were online, so it was kind of a partial launch even there. We had we started out, and as you've seen, with switches throughout Manhattan and 165 Halsey, and again, this is a function of having to serve as much of the market as possible. We had 100 access points, even with from the beginning. The next thing that happened is that we added a switch at 375 Pearl. We decided that building was growing enough and it was a good enough move for us to move in there. And that was, again, October. As of year end, essentially, we hit 50 networks. So it was a pretty big milestone, having come that far in less than a year. In February, I believe it was, we decided that as a neutral player, we had already met most of the requirements for OpenIX certification. So we took the plunge and became OpenIX certified. As of May, we did a deal with to put a switch in the second switch in New Jersey at core site NY2. We continued our expansion there. Through as we saw that facility grow. In June, we took our first step, as required actually by the OpenIX certification, to create a customer advisory board. I think this was, I think we're the first exchanger in the area to have done such. It was a great move. It helped put us in closer touch with the market and with people who could help guide us. In August of that year, we further extended, as you saw in Hunter's slide, so that we could address the data centers of Equinix 2.4 in Secaucus and Equinix NY7 in North Bergen. As of December, we made an announcement that we've been successful enough in New York, and we've seen the success that we'd move into Dallas. That was December of last year. In January, we hit 100 networks. I always thought this was the mark that needed to be for an exchange to really make it in New York, 100 networks. So it was nice to have made it in January. In April, we launched the first of its kind, our Globe Peer remote service. And this was a service that allows our customers in either Frankfurt or New York to readily and easily connect on a very granular basis on diverse paths to the other exchange. So it's essentially a turnkey peering at another one of our exchanges, and it's a first of its kind in adding more services to our platform. As of September, we've launched in Dallas. September 15th was our first our launch of Dallas, and we started with 10 networks actually, and we now have 11. So it's going quite well for a 3-week-old exchange. In October, we've hit essentially now 140 networks on our exchange in New York. And we have a pretty big pipeline too. So you'll see that number continue to grow. I'm especially happy to have essentially all the global content. Facebook went live this week, And that was the last of the big global content players to join the exchange. So we're very happy to have all the big content. In October, we've also made a decision to add another board member. And we figured we could use additional support. So we've asked Carl Williams of Linode to join us. Carl, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Carl will be a fourth member of our board. And he's had great experience in peering. You're in London, Frankfurt, many locations besides, of course, New York and Dallas. So
yeah, Asia Pac, Europe, US, North America.
Great addition, thank you. And then, of course, we're going to have our launch event in a week, 6 days. It's next Wednesday night in Dallas. So with that, I want to take you just through some of our data center development. We initially started, call it phase one, and you've seen some of the slides from Hunter already, but we hit the buildings that made sense when we moved in, and again, with access points to many data centers within those buildings. So it's really a subset just to look at buildings. But 32 A of A, 60 Hudson, 111 8th, and 165 Halsey, and of course 325 Hudson were on the initial list. But since then, again, we've added 375 Pearl and CoreSite MI2, and then of course into New Jersey, the Equinix facility access. But really what we're calling phase 3 here, we've also teamed up with resellers who are data center owners. And so we have, whether it's New York Internet at 999 Frontier, I think it is in Bridgewater, or whether it's WebAir out in Franklin Street in Garden City, networks can now come into those data centers and connect us readily there. So we're continuing to extend and make peering more available to more and more of the market. In Dallas, we're doing the same thing, just starting in one building. So in Dallas, we've launched with our core in Zayo and a switch in Cologix. We're already, and we provide access in Via West and Equinix DA1 and DA3. And we've already started our expansion there by adding the new Infomart Meet Me Room data center in the building. So if any of you know the Dallas in 1950, it's quite tough to get around data center to data center. So this is a big addition, and it really very much allows peering access to locations where it was next to impossible to have it before.